Hello and welcome back to another episode of Better.
And Psychos.
Today I'm going to be talking about two haunted Broadway theaters, the Lyceum Theater and the New Amsterdam Theater. They're both they're both very, very old theaters, like the oldest theaters on Broadway. The Lyceum Theater opened in 1903 and is one of three oldest surviving Broadway venues. It's the oldest continuously operating theater in New York City and the first Broadway theater ever to be granted landmark status in 1974. Also, it at the very, very top, I learned this from the Backstage tour, it has like a bunch of like archives from like various theaters and like various like classical musical like compositions and stuff, and I was like, it's just sitting in their attic, untouched, just so dusty. So me and Cameron J. Bond were talking about it. He's the one who gave the tour, and we were like, someone needs to like probably put that in a museum.
Yeah. Put it somewhere a little safer than
Just
there.
like at the top of a theater. Yeah, I was like, that's okay. He was like, yeah, it definitely needs to be in a museum of some sort, and I was like, definitely should be. In terms of seating, it's one of the smaller venues, only having 922 seats. But when I was there on stage, it was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, this is actually kind of big.
A lot of people.
That is still a lot of people, and I would still be a little afraid to perform in front of those people. One of the ghosts that haunts the Lyceum Theater is the ghost of Broadway choreographer Bob Fosse. He inhabits the upper balcony. Strange sounds and the smell of cigarette smoke is noted. According to the staff, they believe he's still hanging out there, still smoking. Fast forward to 2019, the theater now houses Be More Chill, which I went and seen. And the lead, Will Rowland, tells Town and Country Mag, some of my colleagues have felt a hand on their back, said to be Mr. Fosse, pushing you into the proper place. When I did walk into the theater, after I walked through the stage door and went onto the stage, I was like, all right, I feel why people think this is haunted, because it gives that vibe of being haunted. Yeah, that's all I have for the Lyceum Theater. They only have one ghost, but it is a very historical theater. Also, the New Amsterdam Theater, also built in 1903, side by side with the Lyceum. The New Amsterdam is also a very old venue, but it's not continuously operating. In the Great Depression, it closed in 1936 and reopened on a limited basis in 1937, but was then converted into a movie theater. May of 1995, Disney Theatrical Productions signed a 40-year revenue-based lease for the New Amsterdam Theater, and with Disney Development restoring the building to its original use and grandeur. The theater officially reopened on April 1997. The ghost, ranging from odd cold spots, unexplainable knocking, mysterious opening of doors, cabinets, flickering lights, colored mist, objects moving without touching it, an echo of a disembodied voice. That's all that happens in the New Amsterdam Theater, which is a lot of things. Do you know that theaters have ghost lights?
What is that?
A ghost light is after the show or before the show. There's a single light lamp sort of situation situated onto the stage, and it stays on at all times to deter any ghost. I don't know the exact reason for it, but it's mostly for ghosts.
Oh, that's cool. I did not
know that. So ghosts don't come onto your stage.
Well, you think they'd be more attracted to light, though?
I don't know. Let's see. Ghost light. Ghost lights are also used so stage managers, when on the stage, don't fall off the stage at night. So that's nice.
I mean, that's probably a good idea.
There's a bunch of superstitions involved with ghost lights. When I was on stage at Be More Chill, they had a ghost light on, and I was like, very cool. I get to see ghost light. So New Amsterdam Theater also has a ghost light, and so does Lyceum. I think all theaters have ghost lights, but not in the backstage area where most of these things happen. For the New Amsterdam Theater, the alleged culprit is known as Olive Thomas, a Ziegfeld Follies chorus girl and the most active ghost on Broadway. It's so active, Disney theatrical productions have posted photos of her at every entrance to the theater, so workers can greet her as they walk in, which is believed to keep her mischief to a minimum.
Oh, nice.
So, like, even, like, Disney themselves are like, okay, there's clearly a ghost in this theater, and we think it's this girl. And if we say hi to her before going into the theater, she's not, like, too rowdy, so we'll just say hi to her on the way in. Olive was whisked out of Hollywood, where she made a handful of silent films and married Jack Pickford. On a trip to Paris in 1920, Jack revealed that he contracted syphilis, and she likely had it as well. Official reports say Olive accidentally swallowed an overdose of Jack's medicine, mercury biochloride, poisonous in large quantities. That's a weird medicine. But you know,
I mean, for the
medicine,
time,
1920s medicine, you know, that's probably normal. And she died 2 days later. Her body was brought back to Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx for burial. A few weeks after she was buried, workers at the New Amsterdam Theater started seeing Olive backstage, but she was dead. So people would be like, guys, no, she's not alive anymore. So they kept seeing her until the theater closed in 1936, and she kept kind of quiet. What I love about this story is that she also, like, when they're doing, like, tech for shows, she likes to, like, perform during the tech shows. Like, she'll do her own, like, audition. It's like, it's kind of cool. However, if you ask her to do something, she won't do it.
I mean, same.
So it's sort of like a she finds you situation.
Yeah.
So there's a producer, Dana Amendola, I don't know how to pronounce that name, was a skeptic, and he was touring the New Amsterdam roof in the mid, like, 2000s. Because it was being converted into an office space. He passed below the stage, and suddenly he heard the sound of tap dancing on the boards above him. He climbed to stage level and found that he was alone. So he clocks her reports of appearances. He has seen her twice in the last 2 years. And he's a guy that's like, no, I don't think there's ghosts. And he says that we embrace it. She's never violent, always playful. She kind of embodies what we're all about here at Disney. We're in the business of happiness, and having someone from so long ago acknowledging that she's pleased to make us feel like we're doing the right thing. Apparently, she also doesn't appear on Halloween.
Okay.
I also talk about the Richard Rogers Theater. I went into the Richard Rogers Theater, so I feel like I might be able to say some things about the Richard Rogers Theater. The Richard Rogers Theater is currently where Hamilton is. Small show. I don't think if anyone's really heard of Hamilton.
Not at all.
During the run of In the Heights, which is also a musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Louis Salzego claimed to have seen the ghost of a small child run off stage during a show. There's no children in the Heights. So
fun.
Also in 2000,
we all know how you feel about children ghost.
Yeah. When I was in the Richard Rogers Theater, it didn't feel haunty, but I guess I was just there to see a show of Hamilton, so. I was also, like, really, really high up. I was, like, in the mezzanine, like, in the back still. In 2010, Blanca Camacho, I hope I pronounced that right, wrote, there are reappearing lipstick smudges in the ladies' room. They get painted and wiped, inevitably return. Stall doors open by themselves, dressing rooms have strange sounds, and things spontaneously fall off shelves. Wow. After hours brings bizarre howling sounds, chandeliers moving, sound of people walking, and Jimmy, our doorman, armed himself with a baseball bat one evening.
I don't think that's going to do much against anything.
Against the spirit. Just hidden.
Not just even a spirit. Even if someone, like, breaks in, they're probably going to have more on them.
I guess.
That.
3 people have seen a redhead ghost. None of these people knew each other's stories, so that's cool.
Yeah.
It says nothing bad ever happens during the times when the music fills the Richard Rogers Theater. Oh, another thing for the Lyceum Theater on this wonderful Playbill article says, during the 2010 run of the Scottsboro Boys, Coleman Domenico said, the Friday of our last weekend, things were happening backstage and on stage with the lights and computer equipment. We were definitely in the presence of some ghosts.
Nice.
I feel like the Lyceum and the New Amsterdam Theater and also the Richard Rodgers, since they're such old theaters, I feel like it's sort of inevitable for ghosts to be a part of them.
Yeah.
Especially like that was in 1903 that the Lyceum and the New Amsterdam were built. Like it was so old, air conditioning wasn't even invented yet. So yeah, that is the haunted theaters of Broadway. And some subtle bragging about being on stage at the Lyceum Theater.
There's a girl that's on TV, goes by the name of Curly C, and she doesn't know that I'm obsessed. Just so happens that she's a princess, and I don't care that she's make-believe. I wear a heart on my sleeve, but she's got a prince and he won't share. What that girl is just not fair. I'm not giving up, I'm gonna find that girl, and if she's not real, I will find the girl that plays her. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. I remember going to school, all I thought about was you. I was failing classes, getting suspended. You caused all of my detentions. As soon as I came home, I changed the channel to HBO. That feeling I get, it is to come. You're the girl I've been looking for. I know I'm a little younger, I hope I don't repulse you. I swear I don't have issues. Would you care if I tried to kiss you? Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. All jokes aside, you can have any guy. You are the girl that's on our mind. Down the street in my home, my girlfriend's mom, you're everything, yeah, it's true. I'll try and say hi, but it's just not you. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia, I hate that you're so far away. Emilia, you're just something I can't have. Oh, Emilia.
You just listened to Emilia by Kid Fly.
You can find them on Instagram at KinFlyOfficial or anywhere you listen to music.
Now back to the episode.
Okay, so I'm talking about David Richard Berkowitz.
Is that how you pronounce that last name?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother even corrected me on it earlier, so I know it's real.
Alright. I just know I'm bad at pronouncing last names, so are you.
I just want to throw out there that, and that's why we drink, I love their latest episode because they cover Casey Anthony, and it's the case that pissed me off the most growing up.
Yeah.
Because I remember following that case.
Because, like, we were
pretty young, too.
Pretty close to us as Florida people, right?
I was so pissed off about that case.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were.
And she's making a fucking movie about her life.
You know.
And apparently it's going to show graphic scenes of when Kaylee was...
Yeah. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
They did a really good job on that episode. Okay, David Richard Berkowitz is also known as Son of Sam or the .44 caliber killer.
Okay.
So those are the two he's known as.
Son of Sam.
And you'll find out where that name comes from.
Alright. Oh gosh.
I have a lot of this screenshotting because there's like 2 decently long letters in this.
Okay, cool.
But apparently he eluded the biggest manhunt in the history of New York City.
Nice.
So he was born on June 1st, 1953 to Elizabeth Porter. He was originally born Richard David, I don't remember the last name. She gave him the last name of her ex-husband.
Okay.
His father was Joseph Kleinman, who was having an affair with his mother. So he was married and sleeping with Elizabeth Porter.
Okay.
And she gave him up for adoption a few days later, after he was born.
Right.
He was adopted by Pearl and Nathan Berkowitz, and they switched up his first and middle name and gave him their last name. So he was David Richard Berkowitz.
How long, like, at what age was he adopted?
Pretty young.
Okay.
But, like, I think he grew up knowing he was adopted.
Alright.
They were hardware store retailers. Very simple life.
Not too crazy.
Yeah. Apparently he was very smart, but didn't like to learn.
A lot of people that are very smart.
Me?
They don't like to learn. They're like, okay, no, I know this. I know this.
Kind of starting off with petty larceny and starting fires at a very young age, you know.
You know, the fun things that every kid does.
But, you know, he never ended up getting in trouble at school or the police. But there is record that his parents did try to get him in for some help into a psychiatrist and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's
it didn't seem to work, apparently.
They tried, and that is what matters.
When he was 14, his adoptive mother died from breast cancer. After that, his home life became a little rocky, mostly because he did not like his adoptive father's new wife. That has to be difficult.
Oh, definitely.
In 1971, he joined the Army and served in the U.S. and South Korea. I know he was a marksman.
I feel like a lot of people back then went into the Army just to do something.
Also, like, anytime you hear serial killers, them trying to go either into the Army or police force, pretty common. That way they have control and power.
That is how the world goes.
He received an honorable discharge in 1974. So he was only in the Army for like 3 years.
Oh, not very long.
But apparently one of his friends bought him a .44 caliber bulldog revolver after he got out.
Cool gift.
Yeah. After he got out, he met his birth mother. And after meeting her a couple times, she revealed the details of his birth, finding out that his parents weren't married. Apparently is a revelation that shattered his sense of identity, which, like, I don't get. That doesn't change who you are or anything.
No, definitely not. It's
didn't even grow up with her or him. So
yeah, and you were adopted, and like, although
it seemed like his parents cared.
Yeah, but back then it was like
parents.
It was kind of like a big deal to like be married before you have a kid.
But like, I still don't feel like that's some earth-shattering news.
Oh, definitely not. Especially once you were like adopted and you didn't grow up with them. So he was a bastard child, like Jon Snow.
And apparently this really disturbed him. It just was not okay.
Which makes no sense.
How dare a woman have sex not in marriage?
Oh boy. How dare.
On December 24th, 1975, Michelle Foreman, who was a teen at the time, and another woman who was never identified, were stabbed using a hunting knife.
Whoa!
Michelle was hospitalized and survived. No one knows about the other woman. I guess she survived and wasn't hurt badly enough to go to the hospital.
I mean, if you're stabbed with something, you think you should be going to the hospital anyway.
I mean, probably. He was never a suspect in it, and, like, he was only connected to it later when he admitted to it, I guess.
Interesting. I would admit to something if I was never connected with it.
When he was finally captured, he admitted to everything within, like, 30 minutes of interrogation.
Okay, he was eager little beaver. Okay.
His true crimes lasted from, like, July 29th, 1976 to July 31st, 1977. So they only span like a year and 3 days. I think his total was he killed 6 and injured 7.
I want to say impressive, but that's not the right word.
Interesting.
Yes, interesting.
Around 1 a.m. on July 29th, 1976, Judy Valentini, 19, and her friend Donna Lorraine, 18, were sitting in Judy's car talking, and as Donna got out of the car, a man quickly approached the car. He crouched down, braced one elbow on a knee, held the gun with both hands, and fired 3 times. The first bullet struck Donna and killed her instantly.
Oh.
The second bullet hit Judy in her thigh, and the third missed them altogether. Judy described the killer as a man in his 30s with a fair complexion, about 5'9", about 160 pounds, short, dark, curly hair in a mod style, and many people reported a similar man in a compact yellow car cruising around the area in the hours leading up to the shooting.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of good that, like, when she got shot, she died instantly and wasn't, like, in pain forever, but
yeah.
Wow.
How bad must you feel, though, to be that friend that survived? And
oh, yeah, survivor skill is definitely a thing.
So,
she probably feels like a level of responsibility somehow.
Now, mind you, all his victims were young women with long, dark, wavy hair. Like, I found that super interesting, because, like, Ted Bundy was the long, dark hair parting down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like a lot of the times when you hear serial killers having, like, certain types with women, it's long dark hair. The next one was on October 23rd, 1976 in Flushing, Queens. Rosemary Keenan, 18, and Carl De Niro, 20, were sitting in her parked car when the window exploded. Rosemary quickly started in the car and sped off. She received only superficial injuries from the shattering glass, while Carl had been shot in the head. He survived but needed a metal plate to replace part of his skull.
Shot in the head, wow.
Police believe that the shooter mistook Carl for a girl due to his shoulder-length hair. They didn't see their attacker because, you know, they get shot at. They didn't even realize they hadn't been shot at first.
Wow.
Just the window shattered and they took off and then noticed his head.
Oh no. Could you imagine be like, oh my god, let me drive away, and then like looking over after like frantically driving away, your friend's like bleeding all over the place.
But I mean, it's a good thing like she started in the car and took off, because if not, he probably would have shot again. The next one took place in Belrose, Queens, on November 27th, 1976, just after midnight. Donna DeMasi, 16, and her friend Joanne Lamino, 18, were walking home after seeing a movie. They were standing on the porch talking when a man dressed in military clothes approached them. He started to ask for directions, but before he got too far into that, he pulled out a revolver and shot both the girls. Donna had been shot in the neck, but the wound was non-fatal. Joanne was shot in the back and hospitalized, and ultimately lost use of her legs.
Wow.
So they both survived.
I mean, would you rather be dead or paralyzed from the waist down?
Still, like, that's pretty shitty. She was coming home from a movie with her friend. She was only 18.
Things can unexpectedly happen at any point in time.
Neighbors ran out after hearing the gunshots and reported a blonde man run past carrying a pistol.
Okay. And then, like, the military uniform thing, he was in the military, so he probably kept his uniform.
Yeah, I'm just curious because, like, he was, in the first one, he was reported as having dark curly hair, and in this one, he's apparently a blonde.
I mean, he could bleach her hair.
Yeah.
Trying to hide your identity, the best place to hide is in plain sight by changing your hair color.
On January 30th, 1977, around 12:40 a.m. in Queens, John Deal, 30, and his fiancée, Christine Furin, 26, sat in his car after seeing the movie Rocky. 3 shots were fired into the car, and John drove off to get help. John suffered only superficial wounds, but Christine had been shot twice and died a few hours later in the hospital.
Oh,
What a terrible way to... I mean, there's no good way to lose your fiance, but, like, murder has to be one of the worst.
Just, like, senseless murder, too. Like,
yeah. This is kind of where the police started to think the cases were related, but they were looking for multiple suspects instead of just one
person.
Which, also, a lot of people don't think it was just him. They think there were multiple. Again, they didn't get a look at him because... they were shot at, sitting in the car, and they took off.
At least they were in a car and they could take off.
Which a lot of them are in cars. On March 8th, 1977, now this is really weird because it's at like 7:30 p.m. All the other ones have been like just after midnight, 1, pretty early morning. Virginia Buskirikin, who was 19, was confronted by a man with a gun on her way home from Columbia University. To defend herself, she tried to use her books as a shield, but the bullet went through the books and struck her in the head, and she died.
Through the books? He must have been pretty close.
Moments later, a neighbor was rounding the corner after hearing the shots and almost ran into what he described as a short, husky boy, aged 16 to 18, clean-shaven, wearing a sweater and watch cap, running from the scene. I guess the police thought that was just someone who, like, saw it happen and, like, took off, because...
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would have been me. If I seen it happen, I would have been like, now to run away.
The next attack happened on April 17th, 1977, around 3 a.m. in the Bronx. Valentina Serrani, 18, and Alexander Isu, 20, were sitting in Valentina's car where they were each shot twice. Valentina died at the scene, and Alexander died in the hospital several hours later before he was able to give any kind of statement. So they didn't get a description for it. The police found a handwritten letter left near their bodies, and this letter is where he dubbed himself Son of Sam.
Okay.
So it goes, I am deeply hurt by your calling me a... Mind you, there are so many spelling errors in this. So many. I am deeply hurt by your calling me a woman hater. Woman is spelled wrong.
That's fun.
He spelled it W-E-M-O-N. I am the Son of Sam. I am a little brat. When Father Sam gets drunk, he gets mean. He beats his family. Sometimes he ties me up to the back of the house. Other times he locks me in the garage. Sam loves to drink blood. Go out and kill, commands Father Sam. Behind our house rest. Mostly young, raped and slaughtered, their blood drained, just bones now. Papa Sam keeps me locked in the attic too. I can't get out, but I look out the attic window and watch the world go by. I feel like an outsider. I am on a different wavelength than everybody else. Programmed to kill. Also, he used the wrong 2 there. He put program 2, T-O-O. However, to stop me, you must kill me. Attention all police. Shoot me first. Shoot to kill or else. Keep out of my way or you will die. Papa Sam is old now. He needs some blood to preserve his youth. He has had too many heart attacks. Too many heart attacks. It hurts, Sonny boy. Which apparently they think is just like supposed to be like a Scottish accent.
Okay.
Indicating that. I miss my pretty princess most of all. She's resting in Our Lady's house, but I'll see her soon. I am the monster, Beelzebub, the chubby behemoth. I love to hunt, prowling the streets looking for fair game, tasty meat. The women of Queens are the prettiest of all. I must be the water they drink. I live for the hunt, my life. Blood for Papa. Mr. Borelli, sir, I don't want to kill any more. No, sir, no more, but I must honor thy father. I want to make love to the world. I love people. I don't belong on earth. Return me to Yahoos. To the people of Queens, I love you. And I want to wish all of you a happy Easter. May God bless you in this life and in the next. And for now, I say goodbye and good night. Police, let me haunt you with these words. I'll be back. I'll be back. To be interpreted as bang, bang, bank, bang. Ugh, yours in murder, Mr. Monster.
Okay, what is it with these, like, killers that write letters? Like, you know the Axeman? He was like, oh, I am a supernatural being. I do not deserve to be on this earth. What is the psyche that goes along
like
with
with
that?
the Black Dahlia, letters were written to the newspaper. So based off of the crimes and that letter, police were able to release a physiological profile on him on May 26, 1977. They said he was neurotic, probably suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and probably believed himself to be a victim of demon possession. Which I feel like is a lot of these. Like, you'll hear that excuse a lot.
You know, demons get blamed for everything.
There were some claims of him being in a satanic cult. On May 30th, 1977, a letter was sent to the Daily News columnist Jimmy Burslin. On the envelope, in very precise center lines, were four. They were like written one like on top of each other.
Okay.
And written very neat, very different from the first letter that was scrawled, so many misspellings, all that. But on those four lines were the words London family, darkness and death, absolute depravity, 44. And here's another super long letter.
Yay! This guy likes letters.
At least the Axeman only had one.
Yeah, at least he kept it, like, concise.
Hello from the gutters of NYC, which are filled with dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood. Hello from the sewers of NYC, which swallow up these delicacies when they are washed away by the sweeper trucks. Hello from the cracks in the sidewalk of NYC, and from the ants that dwell in these cracks and feed in the dried blood of the den that has settled into these cracks, JB. I'm just dropping you a line to let you know that I appreciate your interest in those recent and horrendous 44 killings. I also want to tell you that I read your column daily, and I find it quite informative. Tell me, Jim, what will you have for July 29th, which, remember, was the day of the first killing?
Yeah.
You can forget about me if you like, because I don't care for publicity. However, you must not forget Donna Luray, and you cannot let the people forget her either. She was a very, very sweet girl, but Sam's a thirsty lad, and he won't let me stop killing until he gets his fill of blood. Mr. Bursling, sir, don't think that because you haven't heard from me for a while that I went to sleep. No. Rather, I am still here, like a spirit roaming the night, thirsty, hungry, seldom stopping to rest, anxious to please Sam. I love my work. Now the void has been filled. Perhaps we shall meet face to face someday, or perhaps I will be blown away by cops with smoking 38s. Whatever, if I shall be fortunate enough to meet you, I will tell you all about Sam if you like, and I will introduce you to him. His name is Sam the Terrible. Not knowing what the future holds, I shall say farewell, and I will see you at the next job. Or should I say, you will see my handiwork at the next job. Remember, Miss Luray, thank you. In their blood and from the gutter, Sam's creation, 44, here are some names to help you along. Forward them to the inspector for use by NCIC, the Duke of Death, the Wiccan King Wicker, the 22 Disciples of Hell, John Wheaties, rapist and suffocator of young girls. P.S. Please inform all the detectives working the slaying to remain. P.S. JB. Please inform all the detectives working the case that I wish them the best of luck. Keep them digging, drive on, think positive, get off your butts, but knock on coffins, etc. Upon my capture, I promise to buy all the guys working the case a new pair of shoes if I can get up the money. Son of Sam. I believe one of the names he put, the 22 Disciples of Hell, is one of the reasons. Some people believe that there were multiple.
Oh, that's why they think there's multiple people that were killing?
I think that's one of it.
Okay. That makes sense, honestly.
Because of how nice the handwriting was, and the calligraphy and stuff, and how precise, they figured he had to have a background in printing, calligraphy, or graphic design. So they even went to Marvel to see if any of them recognized it for, like, comic books and stuff.
Oh, could have been a comic book writer.
Yeah. So, like, that got them nowhere, though. that got published in the paper, and that was the highest selling issue of Daily Mail to date. And it sold like $1.1 million worth.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So on June 26, 1977, around 3 a.m. in the Bayside of Queens, Sal Lupo, 20, and Judy Placido, 17, were sitting in Sal's car when 3 gunshots blasted through the car. Sal was shot in the right forearm, while Judy was shot in the right temple, shoulder, and the back of her neck. Both of them survived, and while they did not see their assailant, there were 2 witnesses who described a tall, dark-haired man fleeing from the area. One was able to supply a partial plate number that he said he saw the guy fleeing in.
Partial plate's been happening.
Partial plate.
That's good.
I don't think it helped them too much, really.
Oh, well, that's not too good then.
Here's the weird thing. Someone else reported a blonde man with a mustache flee the scene in a Chevy Nova without turning on the headlights. Now, police believe the other guy to be the shooter and this one to have just been a witness that was just like fleeing from the scene, because someone starts shooting, you're probably gonna try to get out of there.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like leaving your headlights off seems a little suspicious.
But that's another point where someone can say there were multiple. July 31st, 1977, early that morning in Brooklyn, Stacy Moskowitz, 20, and Robert Violet, 20, were sitting in Robert's car when a man approached the passenger side of the car and fired 4 rounds. Robert lost one eye and Stacy died.
Ooh, yikes. I wonder, like, what he's aiming for, and if, because, like, a lot of them are, like, towards the face, but...
Again, it's kind of like the Axeman, where it's kind of like 50-50.
Yeah, it's like, maybe you kill them, maybe you just injure them really bad. Who knows? Either way, we're getting what we want.
However, that was the last one. So, apparently one of the letters referring to, I guess, some fire or other crimes that Berkowitz had committed. So, right. And one department was already like, oh, we think he did these crimes. So when they saw that letter, they're like, we think he's the .44 caliber killer.
So we think this is the guy, this is our dude right here.
On August 10th, 1977, the police went to question him or search for his car. And in his car, they saw a rifle in the back seat. Now, mind you, that wasn't actual good reason to search someone's car.
Right.
Back then, because in New York, you didn't need any kind of permit for that kind of gun.
No wonder New York was crazy back then.
It wasn't really a lawful search. What they found in his car was a duffel bag containing ammunition, maps of the crime scenes, and a threatening letter addressed to Inspector Timothy Dowd.
That doesn't look good.
Instead of busting into his apartment and getting into a dangerous situation there, they waited outside and they were waiting on getting a warrant because, again, they were worried they wouldn't get it because of the fact that it wasn't an actual lawful search of the car. The police kind of like just waited outside of his apartment, and finally around 10 p.m., Berkowitz left his apartment and got into his car. Detective John Folotica approached from the driver's side and pulled his gun, while Detective Sergeant William Gordella did the same from the other side. Beside Berkowitz, they found a paper bag with a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver, which is what had been used in the shootings.
Right.
Which
is why it's called the .44 caliber.
I mean, but that was also like a really popular gun back then. In his apartment, police found it to be a disarray and covered in satanic graffiti. They also found diaries of his where he kept a record of fires he had committed.
Cool. I don't know why you would want to keep a record of that, but I guess...
Well, I guess it was just, like, in his diaries. Some reports say he started over, like, 1,400 fires.
That's a lot. A lot of fires.
I don't believe that's completely accurate, but in the early morning of August 11th, 1977, they started his interrogation, and he confessed within 30 minutes.
That's a really quick confession time.
Another one of the things that had pointed to him was Cecilia Davis had been walking her dog around when one of the shootings happened. She saw a patrol officer ticketing a car parked near a fire hydrant, and then a little bit after that, a young man had walked past her from the area of the car, and he seemed to study her with some interest. She felt concerned and saw that he was wielding a dark object. She couldn't see what it was, but she could tell that, like, there was something in his hand.
Right.
And she ran to her home, only to hear shots fired behind her in the street. She remained silent about that experience for 4 days until she finally contacted the police, and they started pulling records to find out what cars had been ticketed in the area that night, and his was one of the cars. It was a Ford Galaxy, and it was yellow, so, I mean, yellow kind of stands out.
Yeah, yellow does stand out.
So that was another thing that pointed to him. One of the things he said was he claimed his neighbor's dog demanded the blood of 3 young girls. The dog belonged to Sam Carr, where Son of Sam came from. It was a black lab, and apparently was possessed by an ancient demon.
Cool.
They literally had 4 different psychiatrists. It was like 3 or 4 different psychiatrists, and they all found him competent to stand trial. And he pled guilty to all the shootings. But then 2 weeks later, at his sentencing, he caused an uproar and attempted to jump out a window on the 7th floor courtroom. After he was restrained, he chanted, "Stacy was a whore," and shouted, "I'd kill her again, I'd kill them all again." They then ordered another psychiatrist to examine him before sentencing could proceed. Apparently during the evaluation, he drew a sketch of a jailed man surrounded by numerous walls. At the bottom he wrote, "I am not well at all." He was still found competent enough to stand trial.
Oh, wow.
On June 12, 1978, Berkowitz was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for each murder despite the prosecutor's objections. The term of Berkowitz's guilty plea made him eligible for parole in 25 years.
Did he get parole?
So he actually refused to ask for parole and be released. I think up until, like, more recently, which I think was, like, 2011, maybe? He's still in jail. In 1979, there was an attempt on his life. The left side of his neck was sliced from front to back and required more than 50 stitches.
Oh, boy.
He would not tell them who his assailant was.
I mean, snitches get stitches, so...
Apparently, he is a born-again Christian now.
Cool, like most people in prison.
He says he is no longer to be referred as the Son of Sam, but now the Son of Hope. I know he has a book out.
Cool, a writer. With all those spelling mistakes, you never would have thought.
But remember that other one. That other one was great. When he first tried doing a book, he invited Malachi Martin, an exorcist, to help him compose an autobiography, but the offer was not accepted. Probably a smart choice.
Mm-hmm.
But then he developed his memoirs with the assistance from Christians. His statement was released in an interview video called Son of Hope during 1998, and then a more extensive work released in book form entitled Son of Hope, The Prison Journals of David Berkowitz in 2006. He does not receive any royalties or profit from any sales of his work, which I don't think he's allowed to if he's killed people.
No, I don't feel like that's a thing that's allowed.
It's not. It would go to the victims and their families. He also once claimed the Hall & Oates song Rich Girl motivated him to kill. Which, it's really weird, but that is like the one fact I knew about this case before actually researching it.
Interesting fact.
Apparently, some Christians now consider him a prophet.
Oh.
And it goes on to say, now claims that Satan and God are at war over his soul, and a group of Christian believers hold him up as proof that even the most apparently evil people can be saved. In fact, some call him an apostle, comparing him to the biblical Paul, who was also a murderer before being saved.
Okay. Is that the end of your story?
It is.
With our good friend from New York. So thank you for listening to this episode of Phantoms and Psychos. Hope you enjoyed it.
You can find us on Instagram at phantoms_psychos.
Or Twitter at phantom_psychos.
If you feel like it, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com patreon.com/phantoms and psychos.
Or you can visit our website at phantomsandpsychos.com. Have a spooky day.
Bye!
Bye!